Good afternoon. Nice to meet you.
So we will be always your reference in case of need, in case of technical help or any inquiry you have about our machines. You always can contact us by email or by phone. So it's me and Marcel and Matteo. Okay, I'm preparing the screen for the presentation. Just a couple of seconds. Okay. So I share my screen now. Okay, in a few seconds you should see my screen. Okay, so if you're ready, we can start. I will mute your microphone, the microphone of everybody. Then if somebody has any question, then activate your microphone, your speaker, and talk. So we will not hear the noise from other speakers, and we can focus better on our presentation. So if everybody is ready, we can start. Okay, today
you have muted your micro.
Yes, I muted all your microphones, all of yours. So in case there is any noise, you will not feel noise from. But can you hear me well, Andres? Can you hear me? I try to start. Is it okay? Okay, so today we talk about the pot washers, all the range of Hungary pot washers. We will talk about starting from the EDI-BT range, talking also about the C90E models, which has the same electronic of EDI. And after this, we will talk about the HDBT range, another different range from the EDI about the pot washers. So just to give you an overview of the models, this is the one that you see on the screen is the model C90E. Second. Hello, good afternoon, welcome.
Marcello, hello. This is Nico.
Hi. We just started. We just started 3 seconds ago.
No problem. My technician is also on the phone, so I think he will join in 2 minutes.
Okay.
But you can go as forward.
Get started. We will talk first about the C90E model, and then we will talk about the EDI after. Just a quick presentation at the beginning. So the one that you see on the screen is the model C90E. Is the most compact model of pot washer that we have in Hungary. C90E. Sorry, Andreas, you don't hear me well. Can you hear me now? Is it okay?
Yes, I can hear you. Correct.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. We are ready. So C90E is the compact pot washer. Hungary comes with an advanced electronic. Okay. Let's see. I will mute all of your microphones so I don't hear the noise from you. So if anybody has a question, just you can activate your microphone and ask about the question. Okay. So the C90E model comes with an advanced electronic, the same electronic of the EDI-BT that we will see in details very soon, with 4 cycles. 4 cycles, 2, 4, 6, and 10 minutes. All the cycles are customizable, so we can set the time and temperature by the control panel without opening the machine and or modifying any components, any thermostat, or it's all electronic. We have always the option of having detergent pump and a rinside pump. The main feature for the C90 model is the washing space. See, it's basically it's 50 by 60 basket, 50 by 60, and usable height of 50 centimeter. So it's a wide space where we can wash trays, pots, and all tools whose height is up to 50 centimeters. So the height is very important in a pot washer, the usable height. The thermostat function is always activated in all our models, in the C90E as well as EDI and HD. We will see later what is it in detail. And C90E is the standard model with a traditional washing system, but can also be supplied with brake tank system. So it's available the model C90E BT with the brake tank system. We'll see very soon what is it and how it works. And C90E, yeah. Sorry? Okay, so C90E is the only pot washer available also with water softener built in. So it's available if, for example, if we don't have space, we need to install a pot washer with built-in softener. C90DE model can fit it. So it's with the softener on the back of the machine. This is the most compact model of pot washer that we have in Hungary, C90E. And then we will talk also about the EDI BT range, the most famous range of pot washer that we have. It consists of 4 models that you see on the pictures here in the presentation. The smaller model is the EDI4 with a usable space of 54 by 66. Then EDI6 with space of 65 by 70 centimeter, EDI8 with 81 by 70, and EDI13 with 1 meter and 32 centimeter by 70 centimeter usable space. Then one big feature of the 2 models, EDI4 and EDI13 Alta model here, is that we have a usable height of 82 centimeter. So let's say in other words, the EDI13 model, the bigger one, is available in 2 versions. One version with 65 centimeter of usable height, and one model, the same machine, but with usable height of 82 centimeters. So EDI13 standard, 65 centimeter of height. EDI13A is the Italian acronym for Alta, higher, is 82 centimeter of usable height. So it's like we have 5 models of EDI. EDI4, EDI6, EDI8, EDI13, and EDI13 Alta, the one with higher usable height. All the models, remember, they come with the same electronic, same control panel, and same main electronic board. So the same chance of customization of the cycles. We can modify the washing temperatures, the rinsing temperatures, the times of cycle. Everything can be modified easily by the control panel. And then we have also a range of indications from the display, from the digital display, because we can set everything by the control panel, and we have a range of alarms indicating what can be the problem on the machine, and a list of symbols indicating what the machine is doing, if it's filling, if it's washing, if the door is open. We will see in details later all the indications that we can see on the display. Here you can find the total power for each models. So basically, the difference between the EDI models is, as you see, is the size of the basket, and so the size of the wash tank. So the model changes in terms of power and wash pumps, because the bigger is the wash tank, the more water we have, the more power we need for the wash pump and for the heating also of the machine. An important news for you is that from now on the EDI models, we have also the pass-through models. So these models are new. It's the EDI 7, EDI 15, BT, C is for the Italian acronym for opening, vertically opening, because these two models, as you can see, they have the side which is openable by the handle. So you have the chance to install these two models with an entry and exit table on the side. You can see EDI 7 is the most compact one, with a usable height of 70 by 70 basket, and EDI 15 BT is with 1 meter and 32 by 70 basket. Is the same one of the EDI 13, as you see, 132 by 70, but is a pass-through. So by lifting up the handle, we will open the two sides of the machine. So we can install the machine with entry and exit tables. These models are new and they are already on our official price list. So if you have any sales inquiry, just contact us, and we can supply all data and information about these two models. Okay. I'm talking about. We will talk now about all EDI models and C90 models because they have the same electronics. So all what we will say now is referred to the EDI and to the C90 models. The main difference between the C90E and the EDI is that the C90E comes with a standard traditional washing cycle. So it's a standard machine which has no rinse pump and works like a standard dishwasher. So seeing in details, when the machine is filling, when C90 is filling, the filling is made by the solenoid valve opening, filling up the boiler, and then when the boiler is filled, will be filled also the wash tank. We'll see now the slide moving. So it's all the filling of the machine is made by the solenoid valve, by the pressure of the inlet water, like in the traditional dishwashers, like in the CE line that we saw last time with some of you. So we don't have a rinse pump. We have the filling made by the pressure from the inlet water. We have a pressure switch in all models. The pressure switch works on its contact. So when the contact of the pressure switch is open, this open contact tells to the electronic board that it's necessary to fill up the water. So the solenoid valve will give signal to the solenoid valve to be open. Solenoid valve will be open until the wash tank is filled. So when the wash tank is full, the contact of the pressure switch will be closed, and the closing of the contact is the signal for the electronic board to stop, to deactivate the solenoid valve, as we see. Contact closed, no power to the solenoid valve. And so the wash tank and the rinse tank are both filled. Filled normally with cold water. So here we have blue water, means that it's filled up. Now we need to heat up the water. The heating as all our models is made first by heating the boiler and second by heating the wash tank, never at the same time for a matter of amperage, maximum amperage of the machine. If we heat up both elements together, we will have a too high amperage. We need to increase the size of the cables and the size of the components. So, and it's something that is never necessary in the installations. So, how the heating, happens. We have an NTC probe in the rinse tank in the boiler. Okay, this NTC probe detects the temperature of the water in the rinse tank and tells the electronic board the temperature. So the electronic board automatically will give signal the heating element of boiler here, passing obviously by the safety thermostat of boiler. So in case, for example, we have an overheating, for example, the contactor of the heating element is stuck and is giving power to the boiler. When it reaches 85 degrees, the temperature will increase more because the element is powered. But when we arrive at 105 degrees, the safety thermostat will trip the power from the heating element. So is a safety. Then when we arrive at 85 degrees on the boiler, the rinse tank stops to heat and it's heated the wash tank, the heating element of the wash tank. We always have also an NTC probe also on the heating element of boiler of wash tank, sorry, to measure the temperature in the wash tank. Signal to the electronic board. Electronic board gives the signal to the heating element of the wash tank until we have 55 degrees. The wash tank. Remember that we set all the pot washers with 85 degrees for the boiler and 55 degrees for the wash tank. This is a standard setting that we do for all models here in Hungary when we test each single machine. So, for example, in the C90E and in the EDI models, it's set by the electronic board. There is one parameter setting 85 and 55. We will see then in the HD models, in the HD line, we have the thermostat. So we set manually the thermostat to 85 and 55. About the washing cycle, it's same as the under-counter models because we play the start button. Okay, the start button will become blue. By pressing the start button, we give signal to the wash pump, and the wash pump moves the water that we have in the wash tank. Okay, the water is circulated by the wash pump and always keeps circulating in, let's say, from the wash pump to the wash arms, and then we go to heat our basket that we have on the machine, our pots or our trays that we are washing, and then the water will fall again in the wash tank. Obviously, it's filtered by the surface filter that we have in the tank, so the water is always filtered, and then it's always circulated inside the wash tank by the wash pump for a time that is fixed, is decided by the cycle that we selected. Because at the beginning we say that we have 4 cycles for all the C90E and HDBT models. It's 2 minutes the short cycle, 4 minutes the second cycle, the medium, 6 minutes the long cycle, and 8 minutes the intensive cycle. We have the operator can choose between 4 cycles according with the quantity of dirt and with the conditions of the items that need to be washed. So, for example, the operator selects the short cycle, 2 minutes. This circulation of washing water will be for 2 minutes, 1 minute and 40, let's say, because in 2 minutes we have also the final rinse. So, for 1 minute and 40 seconds, we have the circulation of water in the wash tank, and this is the washing phase. After the washing phase, there will be the rinsing phase. So, in the case of C90E, which is a standard pot washer. The rinse is performed by giving power to the solenoid valve. The solenoid valve will let cold water get onto the boiler, and the hot water of the boiler is pushed out by the pressure of the inlet water, is pushed out through the rinse arms to do the rinse of the object that we have in the wash tank. So we have the rinse arms turning with a speed set by the inlet by the pressure of the inlet water, which is very important. So in the standard machine, we don't have a rinse pump standard running the water from the boiler, but we use the power, the pressure from the inlet water. Opening the solenoid valve, cold water gets onto the rinse tank, onto the boiler, and the hot water is pushed out for doing the rinse. You will understand that since we have 85 degrees water in the boiler, and during the rinse we fill up with cold water, the temperature during the rinsing time will decrease, because we start the rinse with 85 degrees, because the boiler was at 85 degrees, but during these 20 seconds of rinse, the temperature falls, because it's mixing with the cold water coming from the water supply. So during the rinsing time, the temperature can decrease from 85 degrees, can fall up to, depends, 65, 70 degrees. Depends by the temperature of the inlet water and by the pressure of the inlet water, which are very important for the final temperature of the rinse. So the temperature and the pressure are not constant during the rinse. They depend by the inlet pressure of the inlet water. At the end of the cycle, at the end of the rinse, the machine, of course, we have the boiler with a lower temperature. It can be 65, 70 degrees. So at the end of the cycle, the NTC probe in the boiler will detect that the temperature dropped, and so we give signal to the electronic board to activate the heating element of boiler, to restart the heating of the boiler. The wash tank will keep the temperature very well, because we set 55 degrees for the wash tank. The water coming from the rinse is always at higher temperature than 55. So the wash tank will well maintain the temperature for all the time, unless we leave, for example, for a long time in standby, not running any cycle, and can be that the temperature drops a bit also in the wash tank. But normally it's only the rinse which drops the temperature during the normal usage of the machine. The C90E so works in this way. So with C90E we don't have any. You can see here we don't have a rinse pump. It's a standard model, so the rinse is made by activating the solenoid valve, by filling up the boiler with cold water. Okay. This is the standard C90 model. I say this to introduce now the cycle of the EDI BT models, because the EDI, they come with brake tank system. BT is for brake tank. All the EDI models come with standard brake tank system. What is the brake tank? Basically, on the brake tank models, we have a standard rinse pump on the machine. You see here the pump on the left. The difference between standard machine and brake tank machine is about the rinse, about the final rinse. Because when the machine rinses, we don't open the solenoid valve to let the cold water get onto the boiler, but we use the rinse pump. We activate the rinse pump for 20 seconds. Okay, the rinse pump takes the water from the boiler, so it takes the water always at 85 degrees, to make the rinse. So for all the 20 seconds of rinse, we have the same temperature of rinsing water. It's constant, as you see in the graphic. In a standard C90E model, the temperature drops from 85 because we fill up with cold water and the temperature decreases second by second. PT, EDI models, the temperature is constant. It's constant as the pressure, because it's not like in the standard machine that we have the pressure depending by the inlet water pressure. It's always standard because we have the rinse pump. The rinse pump gives pressure and temperature constant to the rinse. Another important feature for the brake tank system is about avoiding the water contamination, because we have a special air gap on the back of the machine. It's like a plastic tank with a hole which let the water fall in the wash tank in case we have a backflow from the boiler. If we have a backflow from the boiler and in a standard machine, the water may contaminate the inlet water system in case of fault of the solenoid valve which remains open. The brake tank models, if we have a backflow from the boiler here, the water will fall into the wash tank by the hole here that we have on the air gap. So it will not contaminate the inlet water system. It's a safety system which is mandatory for some markets like in Belgium and United Kingdom. They require for every pot washer and glass and dishwasher, they require standard brake tank system. And that's why we put a standard for all the pot washer. Don't forget that also the C90E model can come with brake tank on request. That's why I put here, you see, C90E BT comes with the same system of the EDI BT models. For the EDI BT, the brake tank is standard always. For the C90E is optional. We can have the machine C90E model with the brake tank optional. So standard one, no brake tank. Version with the brake tank is C90E BT on request. The steps of the brake tank cycle for the EDI models. Now we talk about the EDI because we talk about the brake tank standard system. So when we fill up the water, the procedure is a little different on the filling also, because by filling up the water on the first, you see, step number one, we open the solenoid valve. The water passes through the air gap and falls into the boiler. When the boiler is filled, we have an additional pressure switch for the boiler. So another important feature of the BT models, we can control the level of both wash tank and the rinse tank. In a standard C90E model, we have the sensor of the pressure switch only in the wash tank. So we don't know if the boiler is full or not. In the EDI, we have two pressure switches. Having two pressure switches allows us to do one important thing. Is this one that we see in the step number 3. We can continue to fill up the rinse tank, and at the same time we can heat the boiler. You see that the heating element is activated while the wash tank is still filling. So at the same time we have heating of boiler and filling of wash tank. That's because the pressure switch of boiler detects that the boiler is full, so we can heat the boiler. The advantage is that when the wash tank is filled, we have the boiler already maybe at 85 degrees. So we gain time in the preparation time of the machine, because in the pot washer we have a big load of water in the wash tank, so it needs time to prepare the machine to fill up and to reheat. So we gain some time by this system because it allows to heat the boiler already when the water is filling, when the machine is still doing the wash tank filling. When everything is, when the level in the wash tank is reached, so the heating is the same of the standard model, so rinse tank first, boiler first, that is already heating from the step before. And when the rinse tank is in temperature, is heated the wash tank, like here. Okay. And then when we talk about the washing cycle for step number 7, we see that the washing phase is the same as the standard machine. So the washing phase is made by the wash pump running as usual. The difference is in the rinse. You see here in the step number 8, during the rinse is activated the rinse pump without activating the solenoid valve, okay? So the rinse pump will take the water for the rinse at constant temperature and constant pressure. Always the same pressure and temperature for all the time of rinsing. It's a good advantage because we don't lose temperature during the rinse. Only at the end of the cycle, when the cycle is finished, the boiler will be refilled with the water missing from the last rinse. So the rinse tank is filled at the end of the cycle. Okay, we skip now to the control panel. We say that C90E and EDI have the same electronic, so we talk about the same control panel. The difference is only about the shape of the and the position of the buttons. But basically we have the same buttons because we have a classic on-off button here below on the EDI and on the left side on the C90E, which is used for switch on and switch off the machine simply. It's used only for turn on and turn off the machine. Then we have the start button on top on the EDI and on the right on the C90E is the button to start the washing cycle. Once we need to run the machine, to run the cycle, the operator simply presses the start button. Important thing is that the start button is backlit. So according with the color of the start button, the operator has some important information about the status of the machine. For example, if the start is red, like here, it means that the machine is filling up the water. So the machine is in filling mode, red filling mode. If it's green, the machine is in standby, so it's filled and probably is heating the water, but in any case it's in standby really. It's blue when the cycle is running. If we press start and the machine is in standby, the start button will skip from green light to blue light. Like blue is the cycle running. In case we have any alarm, for example, like lack of heating or insufficient temperature of washing or any alarm, the start button will be red color. Or according with the alarm can be red and blue flashing, but we will talk later about the alarm that we can find with the electronic of C90E and EDI. And then we have last thing I forgot two important buttons. Didn't talk about them yet. We have two buttons here in the middle of the control panel of EDI. The one on the left is the temperature button. The button used to check the set and the real temperature of the machine when it is in standby. So, machine is standby by pressing many times the temperature button. We can see on the display what temperature is set for washing and rinsing and which are the real temperature, the live temperature for washing and rinsing. One second, because I see something. Let me see. Second. Can you see again the screen now? I think there is some problem. Okay. Okay, thanks. So temperature is used to check the live and set temperature of the machine. And the cycle button, the one on the right, and at the right of the display on the C90E, is used to select the cycle. So when the machine is in standby, the operator can choose between short, medium, long, or intensive cycle just by pressing the cycle button and seeing, according with the LED light selected, he can see the cycle which will run. For example, if it's flashing LED light number 1, by pressing the cycle button will flash light number 2. So it's used to select the cycle to use. On the display, when the display is in standby mode, it always shows the real temperature, the live temperature of the wash tank. Here we can see in details for each condition of the machine what the control panel will show. For example, if the machine is in filling mode, when it's filling the water, the display will show F2. F2 is an indication of filling. For all Hungwed models, F2 means filling mode. So filling is F2 on the display and red color of the start button. These are the two indications of filling mode. When the filling mode is finished and the machine is heating the water, the display will show the live temperature of the washing water. So, for example, if we fill up the machine with cold water at 15 degrees, the display will show 15, and then by heating we will see that value increases 16, 17, 20, 25, 30, until we arrive to 55 degrees. And the color of the start button is always green when the machine is in standby. So green means machine is filled and is in standby mode. So also when the wash tank is heating is the same indication. Wash tank is filled to fill up to 55 degrees, rinse tank is filled to 85 degrees. When we start up a cycle by pushing the start button, during the cycle we will see on the display will show the flashing value of the wash tank temperature. So here will be flashing, it means that the machine is washing with 55 degrees. And the start button will be blue color, like here. During the rinse, the start button will always be blue, like during the washing phase. But the display will show the live temperature of the rinsing water, 85 degrees, like in this case. So the machine during the cycle show the live temperature of washing and rinsing always. At the end of the cycle, the control panel will be the same, will show the same indication of the step number 2. It's like, because at the end of the cycle, we'll reheat again the water in the boiler because we filled up with cold water. So at the end of cycle, we will find the green start button and live temperature of the wash tank on the display. One important tips that I want to give you is about seeing the temperature, checking the temperature of the machine, because I know that many people, they don't know how to see the live temperature of the machine. For example, if we have the machine in standby, like we see here, the display is showing 55, the start button is green, so the machine is in standby mode. If now we want to see the set temperatures and the live temperature of wash and rinse, we just need to press the temperature button, the one here on the left. Now we see what happens by pressing many times the temperature button. We press the first time and the display will show T1. T1 means tank temperature. Second time we press, we show 55 is the real tank temperature, the live tank temperature. Pressing again, we see 55T. So it shows that the set programmed temperature for the wash tank is 55 degrees. Pressing again the fourth time, we show the boiler temperature, T2. T2 is for boiler. Pressing once again, we show 85 is the live temperature of rinsing. And then last time we show 85 B. It's the programmed temperature for rinsing water. So with machine in standby, just by pressing many times the temperature button, this one, we will see all the information about the temperature set and live on the machine. So all this information is always on the display. Then when the machine is standby, we show only the live temperature of the washing water. Okay, now I give you a little guide on how to install an EDI machine, what to do step by step, how to perform a good installation. It's in 7 steps. You see, the first thing to check is the alignment of the machine with the floor. It's the first thing to do, but it's also the most important one, because it's not just a matter of having the machine aligned for the design, for seeing everything level, but it's also about a matter of alignment of the panels. Because, for example, if the floor is not flat and the machine is not flat, is not well aligned, we will see that the panels of the door, especially the ones of the door, will not be aligned. It's like the machine is not straight. It's like there is something on the panels not well aligned, and even when you open the door, it may be noisy, or the guides are not sliding well. The door is not sliding well in the guides. This happens when the machine is not well aligned. How to do a perfect alignment? Remember, we have the adjustable feet under the machine. So by unscrewing them, every feet has a fixed part and part that we can screw or unscrew. So by unscrewing, we increase the height, so we can level it well with the floor. Remember that it's important to never push the machine or pull the machine by hand, but always use a pallet truck to move it and to bring to the final position. Because we have side panels on all sides of the machine, and even by pushing the machine with an excess of force, we may damage the feet of the machine, and so we will not allow to get a good alignment at the end. So always use, please, a pallet truck to move the machine. Once the machine is aligned, we will connect the drain, because the drain hose and the drain pipe are not installed yet on the EDI machine, only in the C90E, but not in the EDI. You will find the drain pipe together with the accessories of the pot washer. Into the wash tank, you will find on the basket a plastic bag with all the accessories. So you will need to install the drain pipe on the drain tube on the fixed pipe that we have on the already predisposed on the wash tank. You see here on the picture below on the right, on the wash tank here, and we only need to connect the drain tube, the drain pipe that we have in the accessories. So it's a very quick operation. We connect the drain tube and we bring the drain tube to the draining point of the room. So it's quite easy operation. Then we need to connect the water. Basically, we need the inlet hose is already also in the accessories of the machine. In the new models now for 2020, I think it's already connected to the machine. It's coming out already with the water pipe connected. We need to check always the pressure of the inlet water on the room where we install the machine. The pressure will require a minimum of 2 bars and maximum of 4 bars. This is very important. It's an important parameter that for all pot washers to work in good conditions need at least 2 bars of pressure. First requirement. Second requirement is the temperature. We recommend inlet water temperature not higher than 50 degrees. Why this? Because I told you at the beginning, we set the washing temperature for all the pot wash at 55 degrees. So if we have a higher temperature, it's not good for the washing result, and we may have problem then of having the tools too wet at the end or not well washed due to the high temperature of the inlet water. So the maximum required temperature is 50, let's say 50, 55 degrees, not higher than 55. Important to check the condition of the pipes and of the water, because, for example, there are many sites they have an excess of sand in the inlet water, especially in the areas near the sea. Easy to find maybe some track of sand in the inlet water. So in that cases, it's important to install a water filter before the machine, to have a filter filtering sand and also iron, because sometimes there is, especially on the new sites, maybe they have new pipes in metal, and when the hydraulic people that they cut the tubes to make the new pipes, maybe there is some residual part of iron remaining. So it's important also when you, before connecting the inlet hose to the water tap, to open the water tap and to let the water come out freely for a couple of minutes in order to take all the residual parts on the inlet tubes to go away, to get out of the plant, and then connect our inlet hose. Last thing important, remember to check always the water hardness of the water, the hardness of the water, very important. As usual, as all the Hungarian model, it's important to have a maximum water hardness of 10 French degrees, or 10 is 1.8 is more or less 6 German degrees. It's important. If the hardness is higher, it's recommended to have a water softener in order to not have any problem with scale on the water, and to have the better result, and to use also less chemicals on the machine, because the higher is the hardness, the more chemicals we will need to get a good washing result. So remember, 10 French degrees max, or 6 German degrees for the maximum water hardness. And then the last thing is to provide the power cable for the machine, because the EDI models, as all the pot washers, they come without the power cable. It's necessary to provide it at the moment of installation. Which cable to choose? About the type of cable, it's recommended the 807 RNF. Is a standard cable that we normally use, the most used one. About the section of the conductors of the wires, it's important to always check the data plate of the machine. You see, for example, this is a data plate from an ADI-BT, sorry. On the data plate, we see here the maximum amperage of the machine, 17.5 ampere, 12 kilowatt. So we will need one cable able to match with this amperage of 18 amperes. So most of for 18 amperes normally is a 5 by 4 square millimeter cable normally. Maybe for the EDI 13BT need bigger one, but it's important to always follow the data plate to find the right section of the cable. And on the data plate we can find also the value for the main switch to install on the machine, because not that we connect the power cable directly to the meter counter, let's say, but we need always a main switch dedicated to the pot washer. So the size of the main switch we must use, you find here on the data plate of the machine. In this case, 25 ampere. So 17.5 is the nominal amperage of the machine, and 20 ampere is the size of the main switch installed. So always refer to the data plate to find the right cable to install. Once connected everything, we connected power, we connected water, drain, and we align the machine so we can start up the machine. So it's the moment to start and to see the machine working. So once powered the machine, the display will show off indication. By pressing the on-off button, the machine obviously will show the filling mode. So we show F2 on the display. The start button will be red, okay? And the machine will start to fill up water. So we will hear the solenoid valve opening and the machine filling water on the boiler and on the wash tank. So all the filling will be done automatically. The filling will be done automatically. So filling the boiler and filling the wash tank together until the start button becomes green. When it's green, means that the filling is completed. Important is last step of the installation phase is once that the machine is filled, once that we have the full wash tank, we need to check the rotation of the wash pump, because you know all the pot washers, they are three-phase machines and they have three-phase motors. Three-phase motor has two sensors of rotation according with how we connected the three phases, the brown, gray, and black cable. So we have 50% of chance to find the right rotation. So once installed, we need to test the rotation of the wash pump. You see that on each pump we have on the back plastic vent we have an arrow, a sticker with an arrow indicating the right rotation of the pump. So still when the machine is hitting the water, we can manually run the pumps just by activating the contactor and see if they are rotating the right way. If we find the vent rotating in the same direction indicated by the arrow, it's okay. It's the right rotation. If it rotates in the wrong way, we just need to reverse two phases from the main cable. This is important because if you forget to do this operation, you will risk that with the pump rotating in the wrong sense, after some time you can get problem with the pump, or the impeller breaking, or any problem with the pump, or else the thermal relay of the pump tripping. So it's important to check the rotation. You can check the rotation also, of course, by the noise of the pump. If you are expert and you can feel that if the pump is rotating in the wrong sense, you will find a very acute sound. Is the alert that the pump is rotating wrong? So just by hearing the noise, you can identify if the pump is rotating well or not. You can try, maybe if you're not sure, you can make the two rotations. You can try in both ways by reversing two phases and see the less noise the pump makes, the right rotation is for the pump. And then last step we do when we install the machine, we will need to set the rinse aid quantity. If we use the rinse aid with the pot washer, you know, remember that we have also always the rinse aid pump standard built-in on the machine. So you can see here on the right, the rinse aid is the same as the under-counter models, the same that we use in almost all models. It's not electronic, it's not electric, but it's mechanical. So this rinsed pump works by the pressure coming from the wash pump. So when the wash pump runs, the pump sends the product to the boiler. When the wash pump stops, it will aspirate the product from the canister. So by adjusting the screw, the dosage screw that we see here in the center of the pump, we can increase or decrease the quantity. So by rotating the screw in clockwise, we will go to close the screw, so we decrease the quantity of aspiration. By opening the screw in anti-clockwise, we increase the aspiration quantity of the rinsate. So just by acting on the screw, we can increase or decrease the quantity. This is the installation for the EDI models. For the C90E models, you see here a recap of the more or less is the same things that we need to check. So it's a matter of alignment of the machine and check the quality of the water. Remember that the C90E is the smallest model for the pot washers, comes already with power cable connected to the machine. We all need to install the socket on the cable, but the cable is already, the cable and the drain are already connected on the machine. But we always need to check the rotation of the wash pump. That is very important. Always check the rotation during installation. And we have recently we made a kind of form in Hungary that you see here in top right. The indication of a form that we can provide to you if you need to when you go for an installation of the machine. It's like a checklist of all these operations for you to remember, check everything, and to mark that you checked all of these. So maybe I can forward you at the end of the training, and you can keep it as a memo for the installation, and it's an important checklist that you can follow when you install the machine. It's just a recap of all these steps that we talked about. And then once we finish to install the machine, we are on the site with the final user. I assume that we are in front of the final user. I always recommend to teach them how to use the machine, at least to call one operator, to ask him to dedicate you a few minutes of time and see how, and show them how the machine works, what to do to start up the machine, to run the cycles, and to switch off the machine. That is very important for them to get used with the machine and to avoid any problems in future. Remember that with all the machines, all pot washer and also all under counter models, we always give with the accessories of the machine, we include always this poster. We will always find together with the instruction manual is a poster in A4 format, which helps the user to get familiar with the machine. Means to know step by step what to do to start up the machine, how to prepare the items to be washed, how to run the cycle, and how to stop the machine at the end of the day to do the maintenance, to do the daily maintenance. So just in details, it's important when starting up a machine, it's important to give power, to check that the power is on and the water tap is open. Check always to have in the canister to have the sufficient quantity of detergent and rinsate for the whole day. So in case they see that the canister is finishing, to get ready with the next one, to not leave the machine without detergent. Otherwise, the washing result would not be good. Find the level of the chemicals, then check that the overflow tube is placed on the wash tank, and all the filters are placed are in place. Okay. Then close the door and press the on-off button to start up the machine. By pressing on-off, they will find F2, so the machine will do the filling, and the operator has to wait until the display shows the final washing temperature of 55 degrees. Here's the preparation. Then, once it's time to wash the basket, okay, so once it's time to do a cycle, how to prepare the basket. So the first thing to do is to do a kind of pre-wash of the tools, of the items. For example, here in the drawings we see some trays. If the user has to wash some trays, important is to try to remove as much dirt as possible before putting the trays on the basket. Okay, so by using even a shower, even with a shower with cold water, they can start to wash a bit the items too, because all the dirt that we have on the tools, on the items, all what is left on the pots and on the trays, we will find then at the end we will find on the wash tank. So it's better to remove as much dirt as possible before running the cycle. Then we place all the items in order on the basket or on the tray holder that we always have with the machine. Place the basket in the wash tank, close the door, select the cycle that they wish to run, so short, medium, or long cycle, and then push the start button to start the cycle. So the start light will become blue. Okay, blue means washing phase. The operator has to wait when the start will be green again. So green means that the cycle is finished. So cycle finished, you can open the door and take the basket out with the clean tools ready to washed and ready to be used again. Final step of the day for the operator is to stop the machine. So at the end of the service, they have to switch off the machine by the on-off button, remove the overflow tube, the cap from the wash tank, and then with machining off, press and hold the start button for around 10 seconds until they see indication C1. C1 is the sanitizing cycle. It's the self-washing cycle of the machine, which is like a special cycle which will run for a couple of minutes. And during this time, the wash tank will be washed completely because the rinsing water will circulate in the wash tank and will be drained. And this special cycle cleans all the walls of the wash tank, and all the wash tank water will be drained. So it's like a sanitizing cycle. It's a sanitizing cycle. At the end of this C1 cycle, the display will come back to off position, off automatically. And at the end, the operator has to open the door, remove the filters, remove the wash and rinsing arms, and clean them all with proper water. If they have a shower or by the water tap, they can wash everything. This last step is very important for a long life of the machine, because the more they do this particular maintenance, cleaning the filters every day and cleaning the wash and rinse arms every day, avoiding the dirt to stuck inside, we let the machine last longer. We let the machine last longer in the time without the need for you to run there again to do maintenance, because maybe the water is not circulating well because all the filters are completely blocked by the dirt. For the EDI model, this is the instruction guide for the C90E. You see that for the EDI BT, it's the same file, it's the same operations to perform. Just the drawings are different because we talk about bigger pot washers. So it's just a matter of size and of drawings, but the meaning is the same. So preparation is the same steps. Same procedure for preparing the items to be washed, same washing procedure, and same maintenance, daily maintenance operations for all the models. This is the advantage of having the same electronic for many models. So we can do the same steps, similar steps for all the machine. The difference is only about the size of the machine. Here we can see the suggested maintenance steps in case of periodical maintenance of the machine. What we suggest to do to get the machine in good conditions for a long time. For example, we see here some recommended inspection to perform every 6 months. After 6 months of the installation, and periodically after 6 months. Sorry, after 6 months, what to do? To do a general inspection of the machine. It means to check that all the components, filters, and wash arm and rinsing arms are in good conditions, are not broken. The pot washers, they all come with filters in stainless steel, but it's important to control them periodically and constantly, because sometimes maybe they break, maybe they fall, and they break by pushing them on the wall. I don't know, maybe to clean them, or maybe some jets of the rinsing arms are blocked or dirty, and it's necessary to do a visual inspection to see that all the components are in good condition. So filters and wash arms, rinse arms, and the overflow tube to check that it's not broken and that the gasket is still in good condition. Check that there isn't any water leaking from below, so maybe opening the front panel below and check if we notice any drops of water around. If we notice fresh waters under some clips or under some pipes, is recommended to with a plier to lock them to check any leaking from the component. Corroded parts, that's very important, especially just after the installation, in 5 to 6 months from installation. Checks, especially on the wash tank, that you don't find any corrosion, any sign of corrosion or rust, because sometimes maybe it's typical to find some places that they used to use some wire wool, the kind of spongy wire wool. They use it to like a pre-wash of the pots before putting them in the wash tank. Very often these wire wools are in iron, they are not in stainless steel, and they release some iron which remains on the pot. From the pot, the iron falls into the wash tank and starts to create the rust. So that's very dangerous, because when a piece of iron falls into on a stainless steel, it start a kind of corrosion. So it's important to avoid that the final user uses any wire wool or some iron parts to clean the machine, to insert on the machine any parts in iron. Always make sure of this. And I suggest also to check about the detergent. Sometimes the detergent, which contains a very high percentage of chlor, may cause a corrosion of the stainless steel. So it's important to always use with the pot washer a chlor-free detergent, which doesn't contain any chlor. And then in this general inspection, always try to do 1 or 2 cycles to wash some items and to guarantee that the washing result is still good. In some cases, maybe you see that the washing result is not good because it's necessary to increase the detergent. Maybe the user never noticed that. Maybe sometimes they use a very long cycle. They wash with 6-minute cycle using very little detergent. maybe they can run the same, the shorter cycle in 4 minutes using a little more of the dirt. So maybe it may be necessary to adjust the quantity of chemicals or what detergent or rinsate, and according with the washing result that we obtain. This is recommended to do every 6 months for all the pot washer, and then every 12 months or 12 to 18 months to do an ordinary maintenance of the machine. It means it's a more complete maintenance. It means it's recommended to empty the wash tank and the rinse tank, so to empty everything in order to check the integrity of the heating elements and all the components of the boiler. You know that the boiler is all locked, so the only way to see if there is a scale on the heating element is to empty the boiler and check it. Especially in sites where they don't use water softener, or we are not sure that they use in the right way. Maybe they don't put the salt in the softener, or the operator maybe stop to use it for a few months. It's important to check at least once per year the condition of the heating element of boiler. Check also the gasket. Normally the gasket is replaced on the heating element once the boiler is open. Check all the gaskets. Let's say the presence of scale and the replacement of the gasket of the heating element of boiler. Then by emptying the wash tank, we check that the machine is emptying properly the wash tank, because we have the drain pipe draining automatically. With the machine without the drain pump, it will drain automatically the water. So by opening the cap on the wash tank, we can see if the water drains easily without any obstacle. Sometimes there is something blocking the drain tube, and it's necessary to check it, especially by opening the drain pipe. We see if the water flows out very fast, it's okay. If it takes longer time than usual, maybe we should check also the drain pipes to see that everything is okay. If the machine comes with a drain pump, which is optional on all the EDI C90 model, we can run the draining process by activating the drain pump, so we can check also that the drain pump is working properly. Verify the solenoid valve to see if it's working fine. You know that there is a filter on the solenoid valve. Inside there is a plastic filter which retains all the impurities coming from the inlet water. So during this maintenance, we can disconnect the inlet water pipe and check the condition of the filter on the solenoid valve to see if it's okay. To see if it's okay that there is any dirt from the inlet water. Then we should disconnect all the wash and rinse arms, remove the rinsing jets, and clean them all with proper water. This is important to remove all the possible dirt which may have inside in the wash and rinsing jets, which can block then the proper working. Sometimes there are the arms still turning well, so during the cycle they still turn well, but the dirt starts to accumulate inside. So it can happen that suddenly the dirt will block one or more jets, and then the arms cannot rotate well at the end. So it's important at least once per year to check all the arms that they are clean and free of scale and dirt. Verify always every 1 year that the rinsate pump and the detergent pump are working properly. See if especially the aspiration is okay and there isn't any leaking from the tubes, from the pipes. If necessary, I suggest to replace the valves of the rinsate pump we see on the next slide, because all the rinsate pumps, they have two valves, one for inlet and one from outlet, then they are in silicon, and they should be replaced at least once per year. You'll see on the next slide this. Check always if there isn't any water leaking around, especially on the lower panel of the machine, to check if everything is dry and you don't notice any drops of water, even dried, but you see still the sign of water. So check any water leakings or corroded parts, especially on the wash tank. And then at the end, you can verify after reinstalling everything, closing the boiler, cleaning the wash tank, and refitting the overflow. You can restart the machine and see and verify that everything is okay. You can run one cycle and show to the final user that the machine is like new, let's say. We have even in this case, we created a maintenance form, which I will forward to all of you then in PDF. Is a checklist more in details of all of these operations to do. So checklist step by step of what to do during the maintenance. So you can do yourself in order to not forget anything when you do some maintenance on the machine. The rinse pump, as I was just saying, is important to mind about the silicone valves that we have onto the rinse pump. We have these two silicone valves identical to each other, okay, and they are made in a silicone material, very soft. The very soft silicone is very light material, and these two valves are very important because they avoid the product from a backflow of product to the canister. So since we use a rinsate chemical that you know is normally is an acid product, it has a low pH. When we use an acid product, we know that it goes with the time. It causes always a kind of corrosion. Acid product, they cause corrosion everywhere. So I recommend to replace these two small components every 12-18 months maximum. It's a very quick operation just to open the connection, the fittings of the inside pump, and replace from inside the two valves. It's a very quick operation and cheap component, so it's recommended to do. There are people who install the machine after 6-7 years. They never change them, and the machine is still working. It's still taking products, still taking the rinsate. They never change, but it happens also. But normally, it's common to replace this part even before that you find any problems. But I recommend to replace them in order to not have the problem in the future. Okay, remember that both C90E and EDI models, they come without detergent pump. So the standard model comes without detergent pump. But all the machines are predisposed for detergent pump. It means you will always find in the EDI models, you will find the terminals like here, marked with DD on the power plant, detergent, DD is for detergent. Or in the C90E, you will find the terminals, like here, next to the solenoid valve. So this is the connection for the detergent pump, in case you need to connect it to the machine. So if you have an external detergent pump on site that you want to use, you can still use it. It's not a problem. Just make sure it's a 230 volt pump, and then connect them on the machine on where you find the terminals here. EDI-BP, you have the terminals marked with DD. C90E, you will find the terminals like here on the right. We also have the kit, detergent pump kit that we can supply with the machine. Here's the part number for it. If you need in future to order, you can order this kit, and the kit contains the pump, the detergent pump, the bracket to install the pump on the machine, and all the tubes and pipes necessary for the connection, for the hydraulic connection. You find also the injector, because the machine is predisposed. Let's say that the EDI models, they have already the injector here. You will find this is a picture coming from an EDI 4, for example. You will find on the left side, no, sorry, on the right side now, on the right side you will find the injector with a piece of a red tube already predisposed for the detergent pump. So you don't need to make any hole on the body of the wash tank. You not only need to identify the position of the injector, and then you connect the red tube to this injector here. On the C90E instead, in the compact hot washer, you will find on the back of the wash tank, you will find a plastic cap. This is the predisposition for the detergent. So the only thing you need to do is to remove this plastic cap and install at this place. You install the injector here. Remember that the pot washers, I tell you there is the kit, but we can always also supply the machine with detergent pump in case you need, for example, C90 or EDI 8 with built-in detergent pump. Just please, when you order the machine, just specify to Giuliano or to Giovanni, I need the machine with built-in detergent pump, and we can provide this optional. When we install the detergent pump in our factory, so in case you request the machine with detergent pump, we use as detergent pump this one that you see on the right is a Seco detergent pump. Seco brand is commonly used everywhere. Quite a reliable component, so the same as we use for many, we've been using for many years. So it's a reliable item. The capacity of the detergent pump that we use is 7 liters per hour. And you see here on the top right, there is a little plastic screw, a white screw, that is used to adjust the quantity of detergent. So practically, you remove this plastic cover from the pump, and you get access to this screw, and you can adjust the quantity of detergent. So when this screw is set to maximum, the pump will deliver 7 liters per hour of product. So it's the maximum capacity of the pump. When it's at minimum, it will deliver 1.4 liters per hour. So it means that this pump used by Hungary, used by us, delivers from 23 to 115 milliliters per minute. We calculate that this is all the calculation on the specific pump that we use. Because you know that when the pump runs, we have the two wheels inside here which rotates. We rotates and makes some turns. So every complete turn of the wheel, the pump dispenses 2.3 milliliter of product every full turn. Okay. So according to the product that we have, the product that we use, we have the concentration indicated on the canister. It can be, for example, 2.5 milligram per liter, for example. And what we need to do is to see, to set the pump according with that requirement of detergent that we have. So we will adjust the screw according with the quantity, the desired quantity of product. Normally, I can tell you that this pump has a quite big capacity. So normally, if we have an average detergent which has a required quantity between 2 and 3 milligrams per liter, the screw is set to less than 50% of its setting. So, because the setting of the screw is, if we see like a clock, it's from 8 p.m. to 4 p.m. The range of settings. So let's say if we set at 8 p.m. is the minimum. If we set at noon is 50%. If we set at 4 p.m. is maximum 100%. Normally, this pump is set to less than 50%. So let's say between 10 a.m. and 11 a.m. is the standard setting for this pump. And then according with the result, once we set it, we see if it's necessary to increase the product, we just increase a bit the screw. So I suggest always to start with lower concentration and go increasing step by step until we find the right concentration of product. Okay, this is a guide about the EDI-BT, about the connection and powering on the machine. I would like to show you in these slides in details what happens when we switch on the machine. For example, when we have the machine in off, now we have power on the main terminal CN1 where the power comes to the electronic board. So if we have off indication on the display, we have power on CN1 connector, 130 volts. This is just a guide, is a kind of diagnostic guide for you in case you find a problem. For example, you have the display completely off. What I suggest to check, first of all, check that you have power on the CN1 connector, is the in connector for the power. So when we switch on the machine, talk about EDI models. Once we switch on, the first thing that the machine does is to power the rinse pump for 7 seconds. This is a standard operation for all the brake tank models, all the BT models. So we power on, the display will skip from off to F2 indication. F2 is for filling. And for 7 seconds, the rinse pump will be activated. This is standard for all the EDI models because this operation allows to switch the pressure switch contact in case to check that it's not blocked. For example, if we have the full boiler already, by running the rinse pump for 7 seconds, you will take some water from the rinse tank and will let the pressure switch open the contact. So in this case, we are not sure that sure that the pressure switch is opening and closing properly. In case it's not opening, we will have an alarm and we'll see later. So remember that by turning on the machine at the first time, switching on, always rinse pump working for 7 seconds. This is normal. This is normal operation. And then during the water filling, the display is still showing F2 indication, and we will have power on the electronic board, the wire number 1 coming from the CN2 connector. Wire number 1 will give power to the solenoid valve directly here. So, according with what the electronic board reads from the pressure switch, it will give power to the solenoid valve. What means reading a signal from the pressure switch? You see here on the CN7 connector, here below on the right, you see this connector. The connector where are connected the 2 pressure switches of the machine. So, wash tank pressure switch with 2 wires connect to the first 2 terminals on the left here, okay. And boiler pressure switch with the 3rd and the 4th wires on the same connector. So these wires coming from the pressure switch, they bring the normally open contact. So if the electronic board reads the contacts open, it will give signal to the solenoid valve directly. Once that valve, wash tank and boiler are filled, the pressure switch will close the contact. Okay, so boiler filled, contact closed. Okay, wash tank filled, contact closed. When both of them are closed, the returning board will stop giving the power to the solenoid valve. So the machine will fill up water until both the contacts are closed. So, for example, this diagnostic is important in case you see the machine always filling up water by itself and always showing F2, even if the wash tank you see that it's filled. It's overfilling the wash tank. So the first test that you can do, that you could do, is to bridge the two wires of the pressure switches. If you go on the pressure switch, you will find two wires in each of them. You bridge them with a wire, and you see by bridging both of them, the machine should stop to fill. Okay, when the machine is filled, then the control panel shows the temperature of the wash tank, and the start button becomes green. Okay, and the machine will heat the water. So considering that as the safety thermostat of boiler is powered, is not tripped, we will have power in the KE2 and KE2B contactors. These two contactors give power to the heating element of boiler. Okay, both of them. We have two because one of them, KE2B, is connected to the safety thermostat of boiler. For example, in case the safety thermostat has tripped, during the boiler heating we will have KE2 powered and KE2B not powered. Both of KE2 and KE2B, they take power by the same wire, number 2, coming from the electronic board. But one of them is KE2B is connected also to the safety thermostat of boiler. So in case the safety thermostat has tripped, KE2B is not powered. So if boiler is not heating, I recommend to check that both KE2 and KE2B are powered, both of them. When the wash tank is heating, at the end of the boiler heating, the contactor for the wash tank is KE3. You see, it takes signal from the returning board, wire number 3, on the CN2 connector, takes power from CN2 wire number 3, and gives power to KE3. Is the condition of heating for the wash tank. During the cycle, so during the washing phase, obviously by pressing the start button, we start the washing phase. So the wash pump takes power from the wire number 5, always in the same CN2 connector. Okay, wire number 5. Wire number 5 gives power to the KM3 contactor. Here, the phase is coming from the electronic board, and the KM3 contactor gives power to the motor, the wash pump motor. We have two motors only in the EDI 13 models. So KM3A and M3A is the second washing motor for the EDI 13, the bigger model. They are in parallel. They take the same power from the same wire number 5 coming from the electronic board. So in case, for example, in case you have power on the wire coming from the electronic board, but the pump is not turning, doesn't get power, check always the thermal relay of the pump, because sometimes due to maybe to an overheating on the wash pump or to one phase missing, maybe the thermal relay of the pump has tripped and necessary to rearm it. You see on the right there is a blue button. It's necessary to push it, and you will reset the power to the thermal relay of the pump. During the rinse, you know that EDI, BT, they all have built-in rinse pump. So during the rinse, the power for the rinse pump is given by wire number 7 in the CN2 connector. In the EDI4 model, the smaller EDI model, we have a single phase rinse pump, so the power goes directly from the electronic board to the rinse pump. In all the other EDI models, EDI6, EDI8, and EDI13, we have a three-phase rinse pump, the one that you see here on the right with the blue body. This one is three-phase, so we have a contactor for the rinse pump. It's KM2. So the power goes from electronic board to the contactor KM2 with its thermal relay F2, and then gives power to the pump, the three-phase power to the pump, to the rinse pump. So remember, if the rinse pump is not turning, for example, during the rinse, the pump is not working, always check the thermal relay of the pump and check that it's getting power from the electronic board, that the contactor is getting power from the electronic board. This is a helpful diagnostic for you for identifying the problem in future. This is an overview of the electronic board. We see in the previous slide, it's here in small size. Here we see a bit bigger. So the electronic board is the same for the C90E and for EDI models. Is always the same. It's just different the configuration of it. It means there are three important considerations to do. Three important things to set the configuration of the electronic board. It means we have the dip switches for the C90E model are set to on the standard model they are set to off, on and off. You see the numbers and the position of them. For example, in the C90E BT, the same electronic board, but it is set in different way. It's all the dip switches in on. Or C90DE means C90 with built-in software has a different setting. So if one day you replace the electronic board on one machine, it's important always to check the position of the dip switches to copy the configuration from the electronic board in case. So the dip switches, the position of the P1 jumper here next to the switches. It's a very small jumper that you can open or close according with the condition, with the configuration of the machine. This P1 jumper is closed only on the brake tank models. In the standard C90E without brake tank, you see it's open, while in you see here on the EDI models is closed. There is a small bridge to close. And the third thing is always to remove the CNA connector. If you take a new electronic board, you will find coming from the factory with this connector inserted, because in certain models we require it to be used. But for all C90E and EDI models, this CNA connector should be removed. It's a small plastic component which should be removed. Then you see on the electronic board, here you see in detail the CN2 connector with all the outputs of the machine. So controls the pumps, the heating element outputs, and solenoid valve outputs. They are all controlled by CN2 connector here. Main power supply is here, CN1, where you have the power coming from the supply. We have a small fuse here, 32 milliampere, next to the transformer. In case you have power on the electronic board but no indications on the display, always try to check this fuse if it's still good or not, because maybe there is an over voltage or some problem on the main supply, on the electric supply, which blow the fuse. So it's necessary to check it and replace it if necessary. CN7 is the connector for the flat cable which goes to the control panel. CN5 is the pressure switch connector, where takes the input signals from the pressure switches and from the door contact also here. And then there is always this CN3 jumper always connected on the electronic board. If you get one electronic board where this jumper is missing, please take from the old electronic board and connect it, because it's important to get it connected. We always check in our spare parts that this component is present, is included. But we had one case a few months ago, one customer received a new electronic board. It was missing. It was missing from the supplier, so I recommend to check in case it's missing. Just report to me and take it from the electronic board that you disconnect from the machine. It's the same cable. And EDIBT you see is the same electronic board. It's just the picture is turned 180 degrees, but the electronic board you see is the same. Different only the configuration of the three parts that I mentioned before. So CNA connector always removed, open or removed. One, in this case, in the brake tank machines, should be always closed. So you see this little bridge jumper inserted between the two pins. Here is open on the C90E, closed on the EDI BT model. All BT models, this jumper should be closed. And the dip switches for the EDI models is always all switches in on position. The three things to check when you replace an electronic board. Last thing, very important, I was about to forget it, but it's very important. When you replace one electronic board and you install a new electronic board on the machine, it is important to perform a reset of the electronic board. After checking the bridges and the switches, always do a reset. How to do this? We should power on the machine, and when we still have off on the display, we press and hold the temperature button, the button used to see the temperature that we mentioned before. We press and hold it for at least 18 to 20 seconds until the display shows indication PST. It's for preset. Then we release the button and the display comes back to show off. And then the machine is ready to be used. This step is very important, because if we forget to do a reset of the board, the machine will not work fine. The typical problem we have with a new electronic board not reset is that the machine stays in F2 in filling mode. Even the wash tank is full, it will stay in filling mode and overfill the wash tank. This is the typical problem happening when the electronic board is not reset. To install a new electronic board, especially in an older machines produced before 2012, 2013, is that when you install a new electronic board, you may find on the display a flashing alarm SAL. If you find it, some of you found it already. I remember we talked by phone. When you find this flashing alarm, it's because the new electronic board has a new software, which is a mix of many softwares used in the past. So to delete this alarm is only necessary to do a very quick operation. We should cut or remove this bridge that we have in the CN5 connector of the electronic board here. We simply cut this wire, this bridge, and by opening this bridge, the alarm will disappear immediately. This is because in the past there was one version of pot washer using this contact of the electronic board for controlling an accessory, is a kind of cycle counter of the machine. So once this contact was open, it used to give this alarm. So Since in our power plant this contact it was closed, just by opening the bridge, the alarm will disappear. So this only in case you find SAL alarm on the display by installing a new electronic board. Some special functions of the machine which may be helpful for you. For example, as we said before, how to do a reset of the electronic board. We repeat again because it's very important. Just necessary when machine is off to press and hold the temperature button here. Right? We press and hold the temperature button for about 18 seconds until the display will show the indication PST. And then after a couple of seconds, the display will come back to show off again, and the machine is ready to be used. We can also activate the automatic cycle of the pot washer, because the standard setting is that the cycle starts by pressing the start button. If we want that the cycle starts by closing the door automatically, necessary to do a quick operation. It means that when the machine is on and is standby, we only need to press and hold the start button for around 7 to 8 seconds until the LED light, which indicates the cycle selected, will skip from flashing to fixed light. Flashing light is indication for manual cycle starting by pressing the start button. Fixed light, automatic cycle by closing the door. So just by pressing and holding the start button for 7 seconds, we will activate the automatic cycle. If we have the machine, the drain pump, we have the drain pump on the machine. How to do the draining cycle, the manual drain of the wash tank? We go to off automatically. How to run the sanitizing cycle, which is the cycle suggested to perform every day at the end of the working day. When the machine is switched off, the operator should press and hold the start button for 5 seconds until the display shows C1. C1 is sanitizing cycle. The machine will run the cycle for about 3 minutes and then will come back to off position again. This cycle is very important for the good daily maintenance of the machine. Is really highly recommended to perform it every day at the end of the working day. Then to enter in the programming mode of the electronic board, because this electronic allows us to modify the parameters of the cycle. We will see on the next slide, but just to enter in the programming mode, we need to have the machine in off. We press and hold the start button for approximately 10 seconds until the display will show Pro. Pro is for programming mode. When the display shows Pro, we are in the programming mode and we can modify the parameters as I will show you in the next slide in all the details. If we have a C90 model with built-in software, not commonly used, but few models are still produced. So just in case you have this machine and you need to do the regeneration of the regions inside, with machine in off, you press and hold the cycle button for 5 seconds until you will find indication C3 on the display. C3 is regeneration cycle only for the C90DE model with built-in software. But let's come back to the programming mode, because I just mentioned you how to enter in the programming mode. So, programming mode, we have the possibility to edit the parameter of the cycle. If we have, for example, our machine that the customer requires to run a shorter cycle with lower rinsing temperature, for example, if they want a cycle of 1 minute and the rinsing temperature is 70 degrees, we can modify the time of washing for the cycle 1 and the rinsing temperature of the machine by entering the programming mode. So we switch off the machine in off, and then we enter in the programming mode by pressing and holding the start button for 10 seconds until programming mode, and it would be necessary to repeat again this operation. To change the parameters, otherwise it's a risk to get out of the programming mode and you have to repeat the operation again. But in any case, I think that once you get used with it, it will be very easy to do it and very quick to do. So you see Pro on the display, okay, you are in the programming mode. It will flash the LED light indicating the cycle that you want to select. For example, here it will be flashing the LED light number 2. If we want to modify the time for the cycle number 1, we need to select the cycle number 1. So we will press the cycle button until we select the cycle number 1. And then when we see 1 flashing here, we can use the start button to skip between each parameters of the returning ball. So we press once start, we will see on the display P1. We press once again and we will see its preset value will be 0. Start again, we press again, we will see P2. We press again, we will see the preset of P2, etc. For all the parameters, we use the start button to skip between the parameters. And then once we select, when we see on the display the preset value of the parameter, we use the temperature or the cycle button to increase or decrease its value. I tell you that all the parameters with P, they are some standard setting of the proper working of the machine. So I suggest to not modify them because they are some fixed parameters that we don't need to modify. For example, P1 is to set if the machine is filled with hot water, we'll change a bit the filling mode. So we'll fill up the boiler first. Then when the boiler is full, we'll fill up the wash tank with hot water. Time filling, but it's not largely used this procedure because we'll activate too many times the rinsing pump with the filling, and the operator will have like the feeling that the machine is not working well. So especially if the machine is new, I suggest to use the standard filling until the user is feel familiar with the machine and maybe can see if activate or not, but it's not largely used. P2 parameter is not used. It's used in some bigger models with the same electronic to do what kind of to deactivate a kind of pre-rinse phase. But it's always, let's say, in our models, it's always in setting 1 and should not be modified. P3 sets if we want, for example, to the heating of boiler and the wash tank at the same time. You see, the preset is alternate heating. So we'll heat first boiler and second wash tank. I recommend to not activate this function because by activating tank and boiler heating simultaneously, you will increase the total amperage of the machine, and the power plant is not predisposed to get this high amperage. It will be necessary to replace the main cable of the machine to use a stronger one, and also the cables inside should be reviewed and replaced. So I recommend to not activate this P3 function. P4 is it tells the electronic board if the machine has 1 or 2 wash pumps. These settings, for example, is for the EDI 13, which comes with 2 wash pumps. In other models will be always this setting will be 0. For example, EDI 8 has 1 wash pump, so this P4 parameter is set to 0. P5 is something which can be interesting. For example, is the one which controls the thermostop function of the machine. Thermostop, what is it? Thermostop is a function which extends the washing time if the boiler has not reached yet the rinsing temperature. If the machine is washing and the boiler is still cold, the washing time is extended as default. If we do not want that the machine extends the washing time, we set the P5 parameter to 0. This way, the wait for boiler heating is not active. So we deactivate the thermostop function. P6 is a parameter used which is set to is normally deactivated. It means that the cycle can start even if the wash tank didn't reach the temperature yet. If we activate P6, the cycle cannot start if the wash tank is still cold. In my opinion, even this function is better to not activate because it will generate some misunderstanding with the user, because he sees that the start button has green light. He thinks that it can start the cycle. He pushes the start button and the cycle doesn't start. You don't have an indication on the display, and he thinks that the machine is blocked. So for the EDI models, it's better to not activate this function. P7 is not used, so it's set to 0. But let's go to the important parameter that we will be used to be requested to modify. You see, one tank temperature, wash tank temperature, standard setting is 55. So as we said at the beginning, if we wish to modify the wash tank temperature for the cycle 1, we arrive to select the T1 parameter, then we see 55 on the display, and then with cycle button and temperature button, we increase or decrease the value according with the temperature that we want to set for the wash tank. For example, we set to 50 degrees, we press temperature button until we find 50, and then we press start to confirm the modification. We can modify so the wash tank temperature, boiler temperature T2, standard setting is 85. Washing time for each cycle, you see the different setting for each cycle, short, medium, long, and intensive. Is the L1 parameter. The pause between wash and rinse is default 10 seconds. We can modify also. L3 is not used. L4 is the rinse time. Decrease. Standard setting for the pot washer is 20 seconds. And also remember that the detergent pump, the EDI models, is controlled by dedicated output on the electronic board. So we can set the injection time for the detergent during the cycle by increasing or decreasing the value on the electronic board. So L5 parameter is the working time of the detergent pump during the washing cycle, 20 seconds standard setting. You see, this is the same slide for C90E and EDI-BT. It's the same procedure. The same procedure. The only difference is about the setting of time, but it's this indication with the values for the two models, but the procedure is the same. The procedure for entering programming mode and modifying the parameters is exactly the same. Okay, we talked a little about the alarms that we can have on the EDI models. Some of you followed already the training of the counter models. I tell you, it's the same alarms that we find in the CE models. We keep the same indications just to get more familiar with the alarms. Once you know the meaning of one alarm in one machine, you will know it's also the same meaning for all the models. I can tell you the most common alarms, as well as in the CE line and CAP line, is the A1. A1, which indicates that the last cycle was not completed. So if the cycle was stopped, for example, the machine was switched off when it was washing, once we turn on the machine again, we will find A1 on the display. It's not an alarm, but it's just an indication that the basket on the wash tank was not washed and rinsed completely, so maybe it's necessary to repeat the cycle for the basket inside. If we have an overheating on the boiler, we have an A2 alarm. For example, if the two contactors of boiler are blocked and the heating element of boiler is getting power even when it should not get, when the temperature arrives to 105 degrees in the boiler, we will have A2 alarm. A2 is indication that is an overheating. If there is one temperature probe disconnected, we find A3 alarm, for example. If the customer calls you and says, I have A3 on the display, for sure is a problem with one temperature probe. So we know what to bring with us already. When we go to the customer, we need to bring one temperature probe, one or two temperature probes to replace. A4 is an alarm which indicates that the machine didn't fill up the wash tank in time. It's not 90 seconds as we see here, but it's 30. There's a mistake here. It's 30 minutes. If within 30 minutes the wash tank didn't fill up, was not filled up, we have A4 alarm. For example, if we connect the machine and we forget to open the water tap, we start up the machine should do the filling, but it's not filling water because the tap is closed. So after 30 minutes of trying the filling, the display will show this A4 alarm. A4 recommends to check why the machine didn't fill up in time, or the standard valve is blocked or faulty, or the overflow cap in the wash tank was off, so the customer forgot to put the overflow tube in the wash tank, so the water drained all, and in 30 minutes didn't complete the filling. Many things which may cause this alarm. A5 indicates that the boiler didn't heat in time. Boiler failing to heat. If after 30 minutes the boiler didn't reach the temperature, for example, because the safety thermostat of boiler was tripped, we will get this A5 alarm. A5 means no heating in the boiler. The alarm with H1, H2, and H3 refers to the HACCP standards. So H1 indicates that the cycle is performed with cold rinsing water. If, for example, if we switch on the machine at morning and the water is still cold and we perform a cycle immediately, most certainly we will get this alarm H1 appearing at the moment of rinsing, because the machine will rinse, but will advise that the rinse is being performed with cold water. So it's an indication that The machine says, I finish the cycle, but remember that my boiler is still cold. So if you don't get a good result, it's for this reason, the boiler is still cold. Same as H3. H3 indicates that the machine is washing with cold water in the wash tank. It is a very common alarm, especially when switching on the machine at morning and the machine is still heating the water and we start the cycle immediately. So the wash tank maybe is 20 degrees, we start the cycle runs, but we find H3 on the display showing that the machine is washing with cold water. Normally this alarm disappears when the temperature is reached in the wash tank and the machine will do a cycle with water and temperature. H2 is a typical alarm of machines with the brake tank, so all the IBT models. H2 indicates that just to say in a simpler way that what is written here, it means that the last cycle the machine hasn't completed the rinse. The machine finished the cycle but didn't do the rinse. It's like because he read that he was missing water on the rinse tank. This alarm can be displayed for many reasons, or because maybe the solenoid valve is not working, so it cannot open and cannot refill the boiler at the end of the cycle, so the boiler cannot be refilled. With the pressure switch of boiler cannot detect water, and at the end of cycle we give a H2 alarm. Or because the rinse pump is not working. The rinse pump is blocked, so cannot bring the water for the rinse, and we have the basket washed but not rinsed because the pump ran but didn't do the rinse completely. So there are many factors which may be involved on this H2 alarm. It's all the components of the rinsing phase. So solenoid valve, water tap, of course, rinsing pump, and pressure switch of the rinse of the brake tank. So it's always recommended to check the proper working of all of these components involved during the rinse. Alarms with F. F indications are not properly alarms, but they are just some information about status of the machine. F1 indicates the door open. If we open the door, it indicates door open. If this alarm appears when the door is closed, so maybe it's a problem of alignment of the door sensor. Sometimes, especially even in a new delivered machine, it happens quite often that during the transportation, the machine got a lot of vibration and on the truck, and maybe the sensor which is placed on top right of the machine maybe is moved inside, and maybe during the installation it's necessary to set the position. If by opening the door, yeah, we see that with the door closed, we see F1 indication. It's just necessary to adjust the position of the door sensor. Remember, door sensor always on the top right panel of the machine. We find a black plastic cap. We remove it, and inside we find the door sensor, which is not fixed by a screw, just inserted on its side by with a special clip, a special bracket top inside, but maybe due to some strong vibration can move a little bit inside, so it's necessary to adjust the position inside a bit. F2 is the indication of filling. As we said many times before, F2 is filling mode. Whenever the machine shows F2, it should fill the water. If you find F2 in abnormal condition, for example, machine overfilling, wash tank overfilling, there could be a problem with the solenoid valve which remains open. And so it's no, sorry, F2 with overfilling can happen, for example, if the pressure switch of the wash tank is not is broken. For example, because I told you that the pressure switch brings its normally open contact with the electronic board. So when the contact is open, the display will show F2. But for example, the wash tank has filled and we have a lot of dirt in the air chamber of the wash tank, or we have some the pressure switch not working, or the pipe not with a hole and cannot push the air inside on the pipe. Some problem on the track between the air chamber and the pressure switch. If we have some problem there, the machine may show F2. So F2 always control the air chamber and the pressure switch of the wash tank if it's overfilling. C1 is the sanitizing cycle, so C1 appears when the machine is running the sanitizing cycle, and C2 appears for machines with built-in drain pump, appears when the drain pump is running. When we activate the manual drain cycle, C2 will appear on the display. Remember that we just mentioned about the drain pump. Remember that all models, all C90E and EDI models, they come without drain pump. But it may be necessary to install a drain pump because maybe we have a high draining point on the side. So it's necessary to install the drain pump. Even in this case, we can provide on request the built-in drain pump on the machine at the moment of the order of the machine. That when you order the machine, just specify, I want the machine with built-in drain pump, and we provide the machine, everything connected. Otherwise, we have the kit. Each single model has one kit. For example, this on this drawing shows the drain pump for the EDI4 model. And the kit includes all the components necessary for the installation. So the pipes, the drain pump, the bracket for fitting the drain pump to the structure, the bolts and screws for the fixing, and also the wires to be connected to the power plant of the machine. Remember that this information is always included on the kit. We supply the kit for the installation with this information paper, so you can follow it, not do any mistake, and to easily find where to connect the pump on the machine. EI 6, 8, and 13, they have different kit, but just because of the size of the pipes and the kind of bracket to use on these models. So the procedure of installing is always the same. The operation is always the same. The difference is just about the components included in the kit. That's why we need to make code of different ones. Last thing about the EDI 13, about the EDI range that I would like to show you briefly is about the accessories. After we talk about this accessory, we can take 10 minutes of break, so we can take a rest a bit. About the accessory for EDI, it's possible to have the EDI models with steam condensing unit. What is it? It's called with the acronym RCC, is the acronym, Italian acronym for steam condenser, and practically it's like it's a condensing unit, it's a battery, a condensing unit, and a fan, which is placed on the top of the machine. This system allows to aspirate from the wash tank all the steam that we have inside that is produced by the machine during the washing phase and during the rinsing phase. You know that during the rinse we have the water at 85 degrees sprayed on the rinse tank. So it's creating steam inside. In a standard machine, when we open the door at the end of the cycle, we find a lot of steam inside. The condensing unit, all this steam is aspirated by the fan that we have. This fan aspirates the steam and uses this steam to preheat the water which is passing by the solenoid valve. It's like there is a battery inside where the water runs. There is an exchange of heat between the steam and the battery. So what's the advantage of this? The advantage is that the water, of the inlet water, which normally is cold water, is preheat. We gain around 20 degrees for the inlet water going on the machine. So we save some energy in heating the water coming to the pot washer. It's not a big the big benefit of this system, but it's like we gain 15-20 degrees of temperature, so a bit less of energy of the heating element to reheat the water. But the main benefit is that when we open the door at the end of the cycle, we do not find a lot of steam inside. We find dry. We can take the trays and the pots out without having a lot of steam coming out at the opening of the door. Especially if we have a small site with a very high percentage of humidity, this system is very good. Or if we have a room with a very low roof, so we don't have the space to install a hood on top of the machine for aspirating the steam. So in this case, with the steam condensing unit, this unit will replace in part the hood, the external hood for aspirating the steam. And this system doesn't require any maintenance because it's just a fan with a battery, so it's not necessary to disconnect it and to do a cleaning or doing any maintenance in particular. So it's very easy to use. It's installed and it's there. It's working by itself without any maintenance. A bit more complex is the heat pump. The heat pump installed on a pot washer allows us to get a real benefit in terms of energy saving. Because the heating pump is a complex, it's not just a condensing unit, it's a cooling unit including a compressor and a compressor with the pipes with gas. It's like an exchange, a real exchange of heat. It's a complex machine and allows. I don't want to spend many words about it in details because it's a complex working system. But just to tell you about the benefit that gives the heat pump is that the inlet water is reheated to 55 degrees. So we have cold water supply. The heat pump reheat the water up to 55 degrees. 55 degrees is the temperature the optimal temperature that we may have for the pot washer because it's the washing temperature. So we supply the machine, the wash tank with 55 degrees temperature water. In other terms, we don't need the heating element on the wash tank because we don't need to reheat the water in the wash tank. It's reheated by the heat pump. So that's why that we have a very big energy saving. We have big economy with the machine because we save the kilowatt of the heating element because we use the heat pump to reheat the water. So it's a very huge benefit in terms of kilowatt, in terms of money for the user. Less kilowatt to reheat the water. And another important benefit is that the steam aspirated by the heat pump, steam gives the 100%, 95 to 99% of its heat to the evaporator, to the battery inside of the heat pump. So the air coming out from the top of the heat pump is exhausted air. It's without humidity and fresh air. It's like between 20 22 degrees. Like not having like an air con, but more or less like it. Fresh air and without humidity. So double benefit of having water at 55 degrees in output for the wash tank and exhausted air at the exit of the heat pump. Even in a small environment, it reduce the humidity of the room. So it's a good benefit using this system. Comparing to the heat recovery, to the RCC, to the steam condensing unit, the cost obviously is much bigger. It's much bigger because it's like having another machine on top of the pot washer. But during the time, the user will recover this amount, the amount that he spent step by step because he recovers from the energy saving. It will use one heating element less. The third and last optional that I would like to introduce you now is something new for all of you, because is the HFC system, the Hungary Food Control. This is news I kept for last for the EDI because something that I would like to introduce, and is Hungary Food Control. What is it? Is the predisposition of the machine for the 4.0 industry. You know, for all the European standard now, they start to require machines in the kitchen environment which can be controlled by remote, by being connected on the net, but controlled by remote. This system allows us to control the machine by remote because it's completed. The machine, the structure is the same, outside is the same. The difference is that we have control panel. The control panel of the machine is a touch panel control panel, which is not is connected to the machine, but is connected by one cable and can be installed next to the machine. It's not together with the machine. I don't have any photo yet here on the presentation, but later maybe I will complete this, showing you what is it. We have on the machine, we don't have the control panel inside. We have the electrical panel you see with the standard components on the left here, like before, with all our contactors. But then we have also a gateway built in on the machine for the remote controller, PLC, which controls all the output of the devices, of the solenoid valve, heating element, wash pumps, rinse pumps. It's all controlled by the PLC. And we have a Raspberry. It's like having a notebook inside with its own memory working by itself. So it's like a computer running inside. So all the part here on the right is all predisposed for the remote controller. So the gateway allows us to connect with the machine in remote, because the machine will be installed on via VPN net on the site, and from remote we can see the parameters of the machine. We can download for the HACCP parameters. We can create the file by remote, and the user has the chance to download the file for the HACCP by USB drive. There is a USB port on the machine, so you can download the data from there. The control panel, the HMI panel, human machine interface, is IP65 and is external from the machine. It's a panel closed in a stainless steel box, which can be fit on the wall next to the machine. It's a touch screen. It's all different from the electronic that we talked until now. So it's a new electronic which allows to set everything by remote, and the customer still can see all the parameters and the alarms that can see with the standard EDI13, but with a lot more of information for both. So we can set the temperature and times from remote. We can adjust all the parameters from remote. Even we can test the components one by one by remote. So for the service is a very good good tool. Okay, there are here the wiring diagrams of the machines, but I think it's better now to do a quick pause, maybe 10 minutes. To do a pause, and then we talk about the HDBT models, the other range of pot washers. Okay, we take a quick break, 10 minutes. See you in 10 minutes. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks to you. Thanks. Okay. We continue with the HD. Just 1 second. Okay. Now talk a bit about the other range of the pot washer, the HDBT. We see the difference between the EDI and the models. So you see that this is the HDBT range. Models you see are very similar to the EDI. They are not there is not a lot of difference, even in terms of washing space and the same basket. Even the basket is the same with the EDI models because we have the HD40 as the same HD40 as the same basket of the EDI4, 54 by 66. HD60 same as the EDI6. HD80 same of I8, and HD130BT same washing space in terms of basket of the EDI13. The difference is about the height of the HD40BT. We have the EDI4 is 82 centimeter, the height. All the HD models, they come with usable height of 65 centimeters. All of models. We don't have models with 83. It's 65 because this is the standard Hungad range of pot washer. EDI is the top line, let's say. HD is the standard. So all standard models HD with 65 centimeter usable height. And then I can tell you that the other characteristic in terms of heating element and wash pumps are the same of the corresponding models of EDI models. So power are the same, wash pump are the same. HD60 is the young sister of the EDI6, HD80 young sister of EDI8. So it's just a matter of usable space. And what is the difference between EDI, the big brother, and HD, the young brother? Is the main difference is about the electronic, because on the HD models we have the control panel on the right side panel, instead of the EDI, which is in the bottom here, the lower panel. All the EDI, they have the right side control panel with display showing only the live temperature of wash and rinse. We have a more limited range of alarms compared to the EDI. And we have this is the first difference in the electronic. Second difference is that the electronic is not possible to modify. It's not possible to set the parameters of the cycle just like the EDI as we see before. We can, of course, change the temperatures of wash and rinse because we have the thermostat. So we can just adjust the thermostat on the machine to adjust the temperature if we want to increase or decrease. We will see later the detail. And the last difference between EDI and HD is the wash arms. For the top line EDI, we have a big wash arm, always in stainless steel, but with bigger size of the tube, of the stainless steel tube. For HD is a lower diameter of the wash arms, but they are in cross form. So it's 4 arms instead of 4 manifolds instead of 3, but with smaller diameter. But the quantity of water moved is more or less the same. The capacity and the performance in terms of final washing result are the same. Just a matter of electronic and wash arm. And also the HD range, all the HD models come with the brake tank system. Brake tank is always standard also for the HD models. So just to remind, brake tank system means we have the rinse pump in the machine. So the machine will rinse by using the rinse pump. It guarantees constant temperature and constant pressure during the rinse thanks to the rinse pump. We don't use the pressure of the inlet water to make the rinse, so we don't need it. We have the rinse pump. Better rinsing result and better washing result at the end for sure. The filling phase of the HDBT is same as for the EDI. So first of all, we fill up the boiler. The water is filled into the boiler, and we have the sensor, the pressure switch for the boiler. The difference, because I told you we use different electronics between EDI and HD. In the EDI range, all the signals from the pressure switch are handled electronically. So the electronic board reads open contact or closed contact coming from the pressure switch. In the HD range, also brake tank models, but all the signals from the pressure switch are more handled mechanically. There is a meaning of consent between. Just 1 second, I'm opening the wiring diagram at the same time. It's always it's all mechanically by the electronic board, by the relay. Just to give you 1 second, just 1 second, I would like to show you the wiring diagram. Just skip to the page we need. Yeah, okay. You see on the screen. Sorry for this time. Okay, here you see that the pressure switch are indicated by SQ and S11A. So it's not that they are controlled by the electronic board. On the right side, you see the input side of the electronic board. So the pressure switch of the wash tank is S2 here, and the pressure switch of the boiler is S11A here. So in this condition, how they are shown, they are in condition of empty boiler and empty wash tank. Okay. So 7 is the line coming on the common contact of the pressure switch of the wash tank. So when it's normally closed, the signal goes to the returning board, the wire number 9, and the returning board at this time to fill. And at the same time, you will power this K2 relay. Opens the contact here. So wire number 10 is the wire of the race and of the solenoid valve. So by opening this K2 contact here, will not allow to the rinse pump to work during the filling. So during the filling, about your question, Andres, 190/40 and 180/70 on the pressure switch is the setting. It means the higher number indicates the maximum level of when the pressure switch stops the filling. So and 40 is the minimum. It means that when the water is under this minimum level in millimeter, the pressure switch would allow to refill again the boiler or the wash tank. So it's the minimum and maximum level of the setting of the pressure switch. Just to tell you, you see that all the filling is handled here all mechanically, it's not by the electronic board. So to get the heating here on key E2 and key E3, which are the heating element of boiler and the wash tank, we need the approval of the pressure switch of the wash tank S2 and the consent of the pressure switch of the boiler S11A. So when both wash tank and rinse tank are filled, we can reheat the water in the boiler first and in the rinse tank second. S are the pressure switches, and SE2 is the boiler thermostat. So when it's normally closed, we'll reheat the rinse tank, and when it's skipped, because the boiler is in temperature, we'll reheat the wash tank. So it's all mechanical. It's all mechanical, the heating and the filling system. That's the difference that I wanted to tell you about the two lines. Let's come back to the explanation of the steps of filling here. So we have boiler filling and wash tank filling. The machine will stop filling when we have the consent for the contact of the pressure switch from both wash and the rinse. The control panel during the filling it's always indicated by the red start button by the fixed check light here. When the machine is filled, the start button becomes green. Green is standby mode, and the machinery hits the boiler and the wash tank. Boiler first and wash tank second, just like in the EDI models. And then for when the temperature is reached on the machine, we have the temperature LED light on the control panel which will be on. I'll give you more details right in a few seconds when we're at the end of this slide for the control panel. Anyway, the washing phase is performed by pushing the start button. The washing phase is the same, just like the EDI models. So wash pump working and moving the water in the wash tank, and the rinse, just like the EDI, is performed by the rinse pump. The rinse pump takes the water from the boiler at 85 degrees, or with constant pressure and constant temperature for all the rinsing time. At the end, the boiler is refilled only at the end of the cycle, just like the EDI, and that is reheated again, just like the complete cycle of the HD models. The installation is more or less the same step as for the EDI. So we must provide power supply cable according with the data plate of the machine, which tells you the amperage of the machine and the size of the circuit breaker to place to the main switch for the machine. It's all on the nameplate of the machine. Machine should be aligned with the floor by adjusting the feet. That's very important. It will be the first step more than the second. The first thing to check the alignment of the machine. And then we install the drain. We check the inlet water characteristic, same as for the EDI, minimum pressure of 2 bar and maximum of 4 bars. If we have hot water, temperature should not be higher than 50 degrees, and the hardness not higher than 10 French degrees or 6 German degrees, in order to not have any scale on the boiler after a short time. We always should check the rotation of the wash pump, because all the pot washers, they come with replaced wash pumps, so we always need to check the rotation of the pump. Quick instruction, the poster always included with the machine is a bit different from the one of the EDI, because the electronic is slightly different. The control panel of the machine is more practical to see with EDI. We have different electronics, so we have different control panel. We have 2 displays here, which shows the temperature of tank and boiler. This temperature shown is only the displaying temperature. It's not. It's just the NTC probe connected to the display. It's not that the probes are connected to the main working of the machine. It means that when we need to adjust the temperature, we do by the thermostat. We don't do by the electronic. It's all done by the thermostat. We have the display. We have the on-off button here to switch on and switch off the machine. Power button to run the cycle, and showing also the color indicating the status of the machine. Red for filling mode, green for standby, and blue for the cycle running. Then we have the cycle button in order to select the cycle to be run, short, medium, or long or intensive cycle, according with the LED light on here. And then we have 2 important LED lights here that we don't have in the EDI models. The tank temperature LED light is the one which indicates when the machine is ready. So since this LED light is off, means the machine is not ready yet. When the light is on, means that both wash tank and rinse tank are hot, and the machine is ready to be used, is ready to make the cycle. So we have double indication in real of getting the machine ready. One is the LED light of temperature, and one is the display showing the hot temperature of the water. The check light is also very important, because it's light which will indicate if we have any alarm according with its status, flashing or fixed light. So when this light is off, only when the machine is switched off. When the machine is turned on and is filling, or is in standby, or is washing, in normal condition the light is fixed. Fixed light on means machine okay, let's say. Machine ready, machine okay. When this LED light is flashing, it means that there is an alarm condition. There is an alarm condition, and here we can see in details which are the possible alarms that the control panel may show. There are 2 possible alarms for which indicated by the check light flashing. Let's say 3 alarms, 3 possible alarms. One is when the machine is running the drain pump. If we have a drain pump on the machine, the drain pump is activated, the check light will flash. Otherwise, it will flash when we open the door, so it indicates door open, or when we have a temperature alarm of temperature, when the boiler is not heating. This is the 3 conditions why the check light may be flashing. let's consider a standard HD models without the drain pump. Let's see, the two main alarms are door open or heating alarm. Door open is simply when the door is open. So if we find this alarm with door closed, for sure the display showing lack of heating alarm. What is it? You know that all the machines, they come with the activated thermostat function. So if the boiler is heating and is not yet in temperature and the cycle is running, the cycle will be extended until we reach the temperature on the boiler. But for example, let's think about, we have a heating problem on the boiler. We have heating element not working, or the thermostat tripped. In this case, the boiler cannot reach the temperature. So if the machine is washing, the temperature is extended, but it's not extended for all the whole day. It's extended for a maximum time of 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, if the boiler hasn't reached the temperature yet, the control panel will show this temperature alarm. So check light will be flashing, and also the start button will be flashing simultaneously. The condition of the check and start flashing simultaneously is temperature alarm. If your customer reports this, for sure it's an heating problem. So maybe the safety thermostat tripped, or a problem in the heating element of boiler, or anything on the boiler thermostat, but it's something related to the heating. The display, there are only two possible alarms that they can display, A4 and A5. A4 means that one of the probes is disconnected. The NTC probe disconnected or in short circuit. It's easy to recognize which one is broken because we have two displays, and according with the display showing you the alarm, we know if it's the NTC probe of boiler or wash tank broken. If we have an overheating of boiler, the display will show A5 alarm. A5 occurs when the boiler reaches a temperature over 99 degrees. The display can show temperature up to 99 degrees, not higher. So when it reaches 99, after 99, we will have A5 immediately. So when we have A5, possibly check the boiler thermostat because maybe is not well calibrated and is overheating the boiler. Or the contactor which remains powered for some reason and gives power to the heating element of boiler. That's all the possible alarms for the HD. Shorter range of alarms comparing with the top line of the EI. Also, the electronic board is a bit more simpler than the EI. You see, it's smaller. In this picture, just to recognize position of the outputs on top here. For the wash pump F8, the solenoid valve on F4. Input voltage is F5. So it's important in case you need to, if the machine doesn't respond, the control panel doesn't respond, you can check if there is power on the electronic board, because maybe there is no power on the machine. Then the FA7 is the input from the pressure switch, which detects when the boiler is filled, when bath, boiler, and wash tank are filled, and then lower part of the electronic board here is the input from the boiler thermostat for the thermostat contact. We will see in details later when we see the thermostat, and the contact in FA10 about the door or the door magnet here. Switch of the electronic board are always in the same, are required to be always in the same position. 1 and 2 in off, and 3 and 4 in on position. This electronic board appears to be the same of the cap models, but with a different software. So they have two different power numbers and they have different software inside, so they are not interchangeable. We cannot edit the parameters of the cycle. So this is just the standard setting for and 8 minutes. EDI we can modify the times of the cycles. HD we cannot. If we want to activate the automatic cycle, so the cycle can start by closing the door. Remember on the ADI we said we need to press and hold the start button for 7 to 8 seconds. HD we do the same operation but with the cycle button, not with the start, with the cycle button. So in this way we will activate the automatic cycle by closing the door. This is a view of the electric box for the HD40 BT, the smaller model of the HD BT range. In the past, until 2018, we used to have the power plant fixed inside the machine without the electric box in plastic. So now, starting from end of 2018, we have the Gavis plastic box IP65. So all the electric components are stored inside, and also because we had the feedback that on this model it was difficult to get access to the electric parts on the power plant, especially the electronic board and the contactors. It was difficult to get in and check the voltage on all the output. So we introduced this electric box with the two guides that we can slide out and easily get access to the electronic panel. All the HD models now come with this electric box, so it's easy for the service. Remember that there is in all machines the predisposition terminals for the detergent pump. So you will find the two terminals marked with DD, like W here. We cannot see from the picture, but it's DD here. It's the 230 volt connectors for the detergent pump. You will find in all the HD models. Here are the thermostats of the hot washers of the HD models. The wash tank thermostat comes with a range of adjusting between 50 and 60 degrees. It's just two wires connect to the thermostat, so it works on its normally closed contact. When the contact opens, it will not give power to the heating element anymore. Very simple connection. Bit different is the boiler thermostat. Boiler thermostat, you see, has 5 wires connected because we use two contacts of this thermostat. On the right side is the main contact of the boiler thermostat. So, for example, if we set the thermostat to 85 degrees for the rinse, this temperature is set by SE2 contact. So the common contact, normally closed contact, which gives power to the boiler, and normally open contact, which gives power to the rinse, to the wash tank. The other two wires here on the left, wire number 15 and wire number 16, they are connected to the normally open contact of to the common, of course, and to the normally open contact of the thermostat. These are the two wires which go directly to the electronic board to set the thermostat function. So when the boiler reaches the temperature, reaches 85 degrees, this contact will close on the electronic board and will tell to the electronic board that the machine is in temperature. So when it's open the contact, the machine will extend the washing time, waiting for the temperature. When the temperature is reached, the closing of this contact will tell to the electronic board that the boiler is in temperature. I tell you this because if sometimes you need to verify if the machine is extending the washing time due to the thermostat, you can easily bypass this function just by bridging together these two wires, number 15 and number 16. Bridging these two wires, you deactivate the thermostat on the HD models. So you can show maybe to your customer, if the customer is complaining that the machine is taking very long time to wash it, and he says that he's selecting the 2-minute cycle, but the machine washes for 3 minutes, 4 minutes, you will show them that in normal condition, if the machine is in temperature, the machine will keep the time. It's not a defect. It's just a safety to get the good rinsing result with optimal temperature. That's it, and that's the explanation that I just told you about the thermostat. If you need to deactivate, you see here on this information, bridge the wires number 15 and number 16 together. Connecting them together, you deactivate the thermostat function. What I recommend is to deactivate this function only if you have hot water supply. If you have water supply 40, 50 degrees, it's still okay, because in case of fault of the rinsing element, the machine at least will rinse with 50 degrees with a minimum temperature. It will not rinse with cold water. Rinsing with cold water is very dangerous, because further than having a very bad washing result, we start to create foam in the wash tank. The foaming is the worst enemy for the wash tank and for the wash pump also, because we start to aspirate foam instead of water and may damage the mechanical seal of the wash pump. So remember to deactivate this function only if you have a hot water supply. It's the same thermostat that we use already in the HSP models, the standard under-counter models, and also the old STS models. Same thermostat. Solenoid valve, why we have a double solenoid valve on the HD models? Maybe you wondered before. Because we need, since the filling phase is mechanical, is not linked to the electronic board, we need two different electric signals for the valve to open. One signal when the machine is rinsing, given by the electronic board, and one signal for empty wash tank, given by the pressure switch. So the only way to do it is to get a solenoid valve with double coil, because the inlet, you will notice that the inlet pipe is always the same, it's only one. And if you see the two pipes going out from the output of the solenoid valve, they get in the same connector, in the same T-shaped connector. So they connect the water together. So you may think it's no sense to get this connection with two valves. But the reason is because we need the power at two different moments. So the only way is to have two coils with this connection. Is to identify which solenoid valve is the one activated at the rinse and which one during the filling, according with the numbers. Two pressure switches are both in front of the machine, stick in front on the wash tank. Similar, of course, how to identify them. I hope that this slide will help you in future. So, according with the numbers of wires connected, you can identify the boiler pressure switch S11A and wash tank pressure switch wires number 34, 7, and 9. Sometimes you go for replacing both of thermostat, both of pressure switches. You disconnect the wires. You have 6 wires in your hands, and you don't remember anymore how to reconnect them. So with this file on your smartphone, I think that it would be easier to reconnect the wires in the right position. Okay, the key for the detergent pump, same as for the HD models, is the same part number and the same connection way. So we have the injector already predisposed on the body of the wash tank, and the kit contains all the parts, brackets, the pump, and the pipes for the connection. Remember, there are the DD terminals indicated with DD for connecting the wash pump. Some people they don't know this and they connect directly to one of the two coils of the solenoid valve. Not actually it's not a wrong connection. The only problem is that, for example, if you connect to the rinse solenoid valve, you will not have detergent injection during the filling of the machine, because the second solenoid valve is powered only during the rinse. So you fill up the wash tank without detergent. And if you connect to only to the other solenoid valve, you will get detergent only during the filling and not during the rinse. So the solution to get detergent whenever one of the solenoid valve is activated is to use the terminals predisposed on the machine, the terminal, detergent terminal. The detergent pump is the same as for the ADI model. The same kit, so we have the same detergent pump. Is the 7 liter per hour detergent pump. Comes with the same settings as for the ADI. So according with the quantity of detergent we need to inject on the wash tank, according with the gram per liter indicated on the canister, we can adjust the screw here on the body of the pump. The same pump is always the same as for the API models. Is a, we call it a mechanical membrane pump because it takes its power to deliver the rinsate by the pressure coming from the wash pump. So when the wash pump starts, in this moment, the pressure coming from the wash pump pushes up the internal membrane of the pump, and with this movement, with this pushing, the product is sent to the boiler. It's sent to the boiler in one shot, and when the pump stops, in this moment, the membrane comes back. You see, membrane comes back, and there is aspiration of product from the canister in one shot. So the right moment to see when the rinsate is aspirated from the canister is when the wash pump stops. So when, for example, when you open the door, if you open the door during the cycle, you will see the drop of rinsate aspirating through the tube on the canister, from the canister of product. When the pump restarts, and when you close the door, the pump restarts and sends the product to the boiler. And the internal chamber where the rinsate is stored. According with the opening of the screw on the body of the rinsate, we can increase or decrease the space of opening of the spring inside on this in a chamber, because the more we close the screw, the less the spring inside may enlarge. So we will have less aspiration. If we open more the screw, so the pin inside will be more open, the spring will be more extended, and the aspiration will be bigger. So by unscrewing the dosage screw, we increase the quantity of rinsate aspirated. Here is the hydraulic tour of the rinsate from the canister, the suction connector. Then the product passes into the air chamber of the rinsate pump and is delivered by the delivery connection, passes through the air chamber. The reset doesn't go directly to the boiler, but passes through the by the reset connector on the air gap. It doesn't go directly to the boiler. Because in this way, by connecting it here to the air gap on the back of the machine, the reset enters contact with the water with no pressure. So it's still when the water the reset will fall into the boiler. It's not doesn't go directly like for example in the machine without break tank, where there is a T-shaped connector which transfers the transfer the product directly into the boiler. Here at the end of this technical book, you will find this troubleshooting guide. It's just some since this is more mechanical, this range is more mechanical than the EDI. It's also maybe at the beginning maybe more difficult to find exactly what is the problem and what is causing the problem that we have. So according with our experience and according to your reports, to your feedback, we mark here which are the most common problems reported with the machine, according with the problem reported, which can be the possible cause in order to solve the problem. For example, if the machine is not filling water, the problem can be all the water supply, the tap of the water supply which is closed, so the water cannot get in. Then step by step, following this guide, we can arrive to find the problem. So first we check the water tap, always. Then check on the control panel what the control panel shows. Mode, the machine should show the filling status. It means that the start button should be red. If we find the start button which is green and there's no water in the wash tank, so it's probably due to the pressure switch which is stuck, or the air chamber in the wash tank which is completely blocked by dirt. In this case, the pressure switch cannot switch, and we cannot it cannot detect that it's missing water. After we check this, also we try to see that there is no alarm of door open. Sometimes we may have the alarm of door open because the sensor of the door is next to me. There is Giuliano. Maybe wants to say hi to you because can you hear with me? Hello guys, how are you? Getting to the end of the presentation. Always present. He's not following us, but he has other things to do. But he wanted to say hi to everybody. Okay, so this guide, I don't want to explain you all of these steps because I will send the file to you. I think it would be helpful to find step by step the solution for any problem that the customer may report. If the machine is filling water continuously, even when the wash tank is full, so maybe the solenoid valve is open, there is dirt on the solenoid valve, or the air chamber is blocked by dirt, so necessary to clean it, to dismantle and clean it, or one of the pressure switches doesn't switch well and it's maybe broken, it's necessary to replace them. So for each problem which may be reported, this guide shows what to check, and maybe if we need to go to one side which is quite far from our factory, according with what the customer reports, we get prepared and we bring with us the components that we may need for the reparation. In case of boiler not heating, which can be the problems. Boiler not heating, it may be linked to the thermostat trip or to the one of the contactor which is not powered, or the boiler thermostat which needs to be adjusted, or the heating element not working, or eventually some scale on the boiler. Sometimes the scale blocks the signals. I mean, sorry, the thermostat cannot detect the real temperature on the boiler because its bulb holder is completely covered by scale. So you will never check that the boiler is in temperature until the safety thermostat trips. So better to check always about the scale and about the water hardness on the side. Then I will give you this guide. I think it will be helpful for you. If you notice there is something to add on it, I will be pleased to complete it. So I will send you the updated part. So maybe you can give a look after I send you the file and see if something is missing. I will complete. Then so talking about all possible problems will take very long time. I think many things that which can happen. And this is the final about the maintenance of the HD machines. Is the same operations, the same checks to do as for the EDI range. So whether to do a general inspection every 6 months and complete maintenance every 12 months. So every 6 months to go and see that all the components of the wash tank are okay and not broken. Filter are clean, not broken. The overflow is okay. There is no leakings. The pumps are taking the right products in the right way and check the washing result. Then after 1 year, maybe it's better to go and check to empty the boiler and do a more deep check to see if the machine. In simple words, we empty completely the machine, boiler and tank, clean everything, and we repeat the filling just like we are reinstalling the machine from the beginning. Checking also the pumps of detergent and rinse aid working properly and aspirating the right quantities if need to adjust the chemicals also we can do at that moment. Rinse aid pump, remember I suggest if you use the rinse aid, if the customer uses the rinse aid, it's highly recommended to replace the 2 little valves in silicone every year, because due to the action of the acid product like the rinse aid may deteriorate and affect the proper working of these valves, and then we can have a backflow of product to the canister and not aspirating well the product. So every 12 months is recommended to replace these little parts. It's not a big cost for the final user, but it's something which brings the machine and the rinse aid pump to work in optimal conditions. Okay, this presentation is finished. I've been a bit faster with the HD because I noticed that the presentation today was quite long. We talked about many things, and there were many things to say, and the time is not our best friend recently, because I know you will have many things to do and try to find the shortest time possible to explain all the main things. Probably my explanation is not complete and full of details, but I hope that with the file I send you will be like your guide, your perfect guide to to face with the machine in case you have any problems and help you to solve the problems you are facing. But in any case, don't forget that our support of me and Matteo is we are always available. Whenever you have any problems, you can call us or text us. Or many modern tools like WhatsApp or Viber, which allows us to get in touch with photos and video clips in real time. So you can see the problem immediately and give you the best help we can do. And don't forget about the service manual online that you can find on our website. You can easily find all the components and the spare parts. I just show you on the screen. Once you get access to the service manual online, you see you get access to all the Hungary range here. So according with the models you select, you will find utensil and pot washers. So here under utensil and pot washer, you will find all the EDI and C90E models. From the old one produced since 2001 until the new EDI BT models is all stored here under pot washers. Instead, HD BT range is all in another family here. Utensil and pot washer HD BT. Here, once you select the model, you will see all the parts explosion of the machine. So you can open and easily identify the part that you need. You will find component with the part number and also the price. You see, this is the gross price of the part. The price that you see, the website is always the gross price. So according with the discount you will have a normally 50% discount. You see also the news from this year. You see also if the component is on stock. You see availability on stock. So you can immediately put on the cart item at the basket, click order to complete. One important note, I tell you, just like the component that I just added, you see that, for example, you find on the file, on the view, you find the part number. This is the door contact. You find 33188. But recently we updated most of our components. We bring them from 5 to 6 numbers, or from 5 to 5 numbers with age, like that you see here. If we updated any code, you find here, you see that code 33188 replaced by 120366. And automatically, when you select it, the website will add to the card the new part number with the new updated price. So when we update some components, we update immediately the website with the new part number, and automatically we give you the updated one. Then you have the card here on top right. You can send the order directly to us. It's the best way to get the spare parts in the shortest time. Remember, always place your orders by the website, because now we handle the spare parts by another office. It's not here where we are. It's another office, and they get the orders directly from our website. So once I click here on Go, I send the order to our parts department. So they automatically in their office, they will get the list of parts printed in a hard copy, and they send to the warehouse man to make the order, to prepare your order directly. We do the orders, if we have only stock, we do we dispatch the order much faster than before. So remember, I know that in some cases you are in trouble, you are around, you don't have the chance to get connected. But if you send me an email, it takes longer time to process the order, because then I have to forward, I have to send the part to forward. The best way is always by the website. The password, yes, is protected. Actually, I cannot see your password, sorry, because when you create one, I can access and see your username and not your password. But in any case, on the website, the username, this one is the one that we use for internal use. Your username will always be the one of your company. So because the username includes the code number for your company. Is normally a number 90 and 91 something, because we consider for the orders of the spare parts only one account for each partner, for each customer. So it's not that if you are 10 engineers, you want to have different accounts. For us, it's not a problem. You can create one account for each engineer. It's not a problem. The main thing is that it's necessary to have all the order of spare parts only from one main account. You can open the account to check the part, to see the price, to see the exploded view, to see the wiring diagram and everything, but not to place the order. For the order of spare parts, only one account for each partner, let's say. The information are stored here. For example, also talking about HDBT, HD60, we see the part explosion, and also here on top there are 6 icons. You can see here the 4th icon is documents related to this model. So if you click, you will find instruction manual, the technical data sheet, installation diagram, wiring diagram, and quick instruction for the selected model. For example, you need a wiring diagram, you can open even from the app. Remember, there is also the Home app. You can install on your smartphone with the same username and password that you use for the website. You can get all the same information on the app without the need of every time to log in from the website with username and password. Once you get the app, you can save and store your username and password. You always get direct access to the component. And here is, for example, the wiring diagram in PDF, which you can forward by email if you open by the app. By the app, you can see PDF and send by email or save or store in your app archive. We are now updating also. This is a news of this week. We are updating the pass-through dishwasher, the hood type. Finally, we added new models. So the Cap 10, Cap 7, Cap 10, and Cap 12 produced from this year with the new electronic. You will find Cap 7E 2021. I show you the example of Cap 7 because it's the model in Hungary which has a longer history in terms of different models. We started with Cap 7 in 2004, sorry. We skipped to Cap 7E to 2008. Cap 7E updated version with new electronic in 2011, and then the new Cap 7E with the new same electronic of CE from 2021. So in the time we updated many versions, it was difficult to find. Now here we put also the year of production of each model. And this is the new exploded view for the Cap 7E on 2021 in all the possible versions with all the components. So you will find all the information stored here, the website and on the app. All the components you can find, you see, stock is not for the rinse arm, price and everything here. Any question you may have, please, you can ask. I hope that the explanation was clear enough. Maybe the paper will be the paper, the PDF I send you will be more clear than my explanation for sure, but it is updated, and I hope that you get all the information you might need for your experience, for your service. And don't forget for any inquiry, any problem, or any information you may need to contact me or my colleague Matteo. Mine also, so we will be very pleased to help you. Even complaints on anything, it's all accepted, of course. We are here to improve the machines, and if we deliver machines, we never have problems and never have any report. We cannot we cannot improve the models. Cannot get one step over and step higher for the improvement. So your feedback is the most important thing for us to get the machine with good quality, improve our internal quality and our improvement in terms of accessories, better materials and better performance according with your experience. Okay, I say thanks to all of you for the time you dedicated to us today.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the participation. I hope to see you soon, maybe in another training or something like this. So have a nice night and bye. See you next time.
See you later. Thank you. Thanks, Marcelo.
Thank you. Thank you. Tomorrow we will do the training for the TL range. I don't know if anybody of you will join. In any case, if you want, we'll be here. Okay. So it's a bit early for you, I think, because it's
No problem. It's no problem.
in UK.
No problem.
We plan some in the afternoon, some in the morning to get better time for everybody. But I hope it will be shorter than today.
That's okay. I'll talk to you in the morning, okay?
Excellent. Okay. Thanks for the time.
Thanks,
Thank
Marcelo.
you.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
No, so che rimaniamo via.
I will send then the file to all of you by PDF at the end of the trainings, so you will get the PDF file for your keep with you with all the presentation in PDF. So it will be great. Okay, thanks for joining. Thanks again.
Okay.
Bye,
Thank
Oliver.
you.
Bye, Lars.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.